Feel free to enter into the chat your name, your affiliation with Cultural Vistas, and where you're joining from. We'd love to see who's participating. Welcome, welcome. We're expecting a pretty big crowd today, so just be a little bit patient to let people join. Thanks for sharing your name. Great to see so many of you who, gosh, I haven't been in touch with for a while. So wonderful to have you with us. Hopefully those joining from Texas are doing okay. I know we have a couple people on the call from Dallas and across the state. Our thoughts are with you. Definitely a challenging moment. Got people joining really from many, many places across the US and around the world. So thank you, thank you. And I will apologize in advance. I have got two dogs that can be somewhat unpredictable. So if there is any background noise, I will apologize for that. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome. Wonderful to have you with us today. My name is Jennifer Clinton. I'm the CEO of Cultural Vistas. We appreciate you making the time to be with us today and are thrilled to have such a phenomenal turnout. We had over 275 people register. So thank you, thank you. We know how busy your schedules are. Given all that's happened over the last year, we thought it would be important to bring you all together today to give you a sense of how we've been managing and what we're planning for the next year and the years ahead. So our goal for today is to share the following. We want to provide you with an update on the state of Cultural Vistas as we emerge from 2020 and move into 2021. We want to share our new strategic vision, which will guide our focus over the next 3 years. And we want to give you a sense of ways you can get involved with our work. We will have time for questions at the end of the session, but feel free to put your questions or comments in the chat as they come to you. We will be recording this session, so just know that, and we'll provide it to those who were not able to join us in person today. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we have all experienced a tremendous amount of loss this past year. While we're very much looking forward to what lies ahead, we must carry with us what we've learned during this dark time, so that we don't just focus on returning to the old ways of doing things, but that we make it a priority to create a new path forward. In putting together this town hall meeting, it was really important for me that we lift up the voices of so many people from our community who helped us manage through 2020 and who played a critical role in developing a renewed vision for how we can collectively be a positive force for good. First, I want to welcome our chairman of the Cultural Vistas Board of Directors, Jeff Ranke, who serves as the Chief of Staff at the Council on Foreign Relations, to share the board's perspective of where we are and what the year ahead looks like. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Jennifer. And thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your lunch break here in the East Coast, from breakfast on the West Coast, from dinner in Europe, midnight snack in Asia. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it. And I just want to say thanks to the partnership and support of our community and the stewardship of my fellow board members. So I'm happy to give all of you the news that with certainty, Cultural Vistas is in a strong, remains a strong and innovative nonprofit organization here. I have to commend the staff and Jennifer and the leadership team at Cultural Vistas for their hard work during this past year of difficult time. And there's a lot more to be done. We all know that, but we're confident in our ability to move through uncertainty and take care of our participants in the meantime, our partners, our host organizations, our alumni, our current and our future program possibilities. So just give you a few updates of what's been going on. It has been a tough time. Cultural Vistas is now much leaner than it was before the epidemic. We were down about 1/3 in terms of our staff, only 50. The staff have been, as most of us, are working fully remote through the end of 2022. We have office locations in Washington and Berlin. We did have to close our office in New York, which we'd had for many years. The organization is, though, financially strong, sound. We've got strong financial stewardship from the board and management. And the important thing to know is there's a diverse portfolio of funding, which we continue to maintain and enhance. It's very important that we are looking for different ways to keep these programs going and have different sources so that we're not beholden to any one or other while we work through this time. We've been flexible. We're working closely with our partners to educate them on regulatory changes, health and safety requirements, and best practices, and how to keep international exchanges going using both virtual and hybrid models. Cultural Vistas is a member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and we have an exception to the presidential proclamation of last year, which allows us to issue J-1 visas to those who are able to come to the United States. The volume of this is small. It allows us to get a sense, though, and advocate for the future needs of the companies we work with as regulations continue to develop. Our community helps us envision a new strategic plan which builds on our strong legacy and gives us a new path forward that our board and our staff feel confident about and are committed to. As the new administration pursues a more collaborative foreign policy, we are ready and we are well equipped to advance priorities by building stronger alliances abroad. Exchange programs are a critical tool to achieve this goal, and Cultural Vistas is a trusted partner in the international exchange community worldwide. So despite these setbacks we've had over the past year, we are excited about what lies ahead and hope you will continue to be engaged in both the same ways or new ways going forward. So thank you all again, and back to you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jeff. I know we all appreciate your leadership and commitment to really helping us weather the ongoing challenges and really chart a new path for the future. Before we dive into our new strategy, we wanted to share out some of those key lessons that we will bring forward to create this new normal for Cultural Vistas. And to do that, I want to invite my colleague, Daniel Villanueva, who along with a few of our alumni will share some of the critical lessons from 2020. Daniel is the director of our Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Program, a two-way professional exchange program that's supported by the governments of the United States and Germany that provides 150 Germans and Americans the opportunity to live, work, and study in the US or Germany. Daniel.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you to everyone tuning in today, both in the United States and around the world, as I'm seeing in the chat function. This is wonderful to see. So what did our team, the Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange team, learn in 2020? This pandemic taught us a lot. It was an excellent teacher, even if in a bit of a negative sense, continuing to give us insight into the evolving nature of international exchange and virtual programming. The first thing that we learned is that embedding agility in our DNA is so key moving forward. Just one example here. When our program sponsors, the German Bundestag and the US State Department, curtailed the 2019-2020 program, within a week, we organized the safe return of 75 German young professionals from the United States back to their native Germany, and 75 Americans who were in Germany back to the United States. Our team christened this the Frankfurt Airlift, harkening back to the Berlin Airlift, because the Germans returned to Frankfurt from the United States and the Americans left from Frankfurt to come back to the United States. A second trait that we learned and that we've really experienced this year a lot was adaptability. Really, all teams at Cultural Vistas are proud to embody this adaptive spirit, never more so than over the past year. In our case, not only was last year's exchange curtailed, as you just heard, but this year's exchange has moved to all virtual, meaning none of the current cohort of Germans and Americans chosen for this prestigious international exchange program will actually set foot in each other's countries during this program year. What a way to celebrate the 37th anniversary of CBYX. But together with our State Department colleagues and our German partner organization, we joined our adaptability with our agility, and we reimagined significant parts of the program from scratch. In under 3 months, we created multifaceted online programming in German and in English based on best practices in the field. And these are approximating as best we can the intercultural and transatlantic exchange of ideas, cultures, and one-of-a-kind experiences that we expect an in-country program would also have provided. I'll give an example of this later on. And finally, we understand anew how important resiliency is, not only in our staff and participants, but also in the relationship with our many stakeholders on both sides of the Atlantic. From our host families and colleges to our internship providers and nonprofit volunteer placements who had either to do without host daughters and sons and interns this year, or who had to shift these experiences online, our stakeholder network has proven itself willing and able to adjust to the pandemic in creative and effective ways. To be clear, everyone misses not having participants in person, but no one feels it would have been better to cancel the program entirely. And that is due to the strength of the relationships with our stakeholders who are as committed to virtual options for intercultural and experiential learning as we are. But don't take my word for it alone. I'd now like to introduce 3 recent participants in Cultural Vistas programs with firsthand stories of how our virtual offerings, combined with their resiliency, have allowed our mission to move forward even with the considerable challenges we experienced in 2020. First, I'd like to introduce Maxwell Hunzik, who was one of those CBYX participants who had to return early from Germany last year and later participated in Cultural Vistas virtual internship corps. Max, the floor is yours.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, like Daniel said, I was in the CBYX Young Professionals 36 cohort, and in March, during an internship that I had with a local newspaper in Northern Germany, had to unfortunately return to the United States. And that was a big unstable time in my life as I tried to kind of figure out and plan my next steps. Thanks to the help of CBYX and the entire team, it made it a lot easier. And as I was planning on what to do next, I looked and saw that Cultural Vistas had another program that they were offering. And since I had such a pleasant experience with my first one, I decided to try the virtual internship corps, not really knowing what would come out of it. After being accepted, I received an internship with a startup, a sustainability startup in Berlin called the Organization for Sustainable Consumption. And there I got a really immersive experience despite being entirely online. An immersive experience as a kind of PR and content creator for the company. My day-to-day for the company was entirely virtual, but I still felt a part of the company and made really good friends, despite the time zone difference, which led to 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and 6 a.m. meetings that weren't always super ideal, but definitely manageable. I am very excited to say now that after my internship experience, my company has decided to offer me a full-time position with them as a PR and content manager for their company, as we look to extend our influence and our offerings to not only European countries, but to the North American market as well. And I am looking to move to my dream city, Berlin, in the coming month in terms of like late March to early April. So what did I learn in 2020 is that it is a time of great instability, but despite instability and the uncertainty, opportunities are still abound, and especially international opportunities are still abound, and you can still make these things definitely work in a virtual setting as well. So with that, I will pass it on to Ingrid, who will talk more about the subject.
Hi, thank you, Max. Hi, everyone. My name is Ingrid Ambreez, and I was a CBYX participant in the 34th cohort. And these past few months, I have participated in the Cultural Vistas virtual internship program, where I worked with an organization called German Turkish Young Diplomats. And during my time with the organization, I was tasked with researching sister city programs that could potentially be adapted to strengthen political and social relations between Istanbul and Berlin. And so just to give some background as to why it was important for me to work with such an organization, it's because during my time actually in the CBYX program, I realized that Germany is a lot more diverse than I initially thought it was. Although I never thought of it as a nation of immigrants or an immigrant country, it definitely much is so. And so while working with German Turkish young diplomats, I started seeing historical and cultural parallels between Turkish communities in Germany and specifically Mexican communities in the United States, which is a community I personally identify with. And so this included guest worker programs that were present in both countries and ethnic enclaves that have formed in cities in both countries. And so these observations led me to focus my master's thesis, which I'm currently working on how family and friendships influence national identity among German Turks. And so through my virtual internship, not only did I become familiar with social issues affecting both Turkey and Germany, but through casual conversations and meetings, I was also able to understand the importance of daily experiences and relationships as contributors to German Turkish identity. And so I think my internship really helped me in understanding that transatlantic relations are more than just politics or economic ties between countries, that transatlantic relations are personal. And they're personal to historically oppressed communities, they're personal to communities of color. And these personal ties to binational affairs are reasons why it's so important to diversify transatlantic relationships and include people of all backgrounds. So although my internship was virtual, it also gave me great connections and opportunities to connect to a community with many similarities to my own community. And I hope to continue working with them in the future and possibly come up with ways in which to showcase issues affecting our communities in both the US and in Germany. And so I'll pass the torch along to Malia.
Thank you, Ingrid. Yat Esh Malia Simon. Hello, my name is Malia Simon, and I'm a 2019 Cultural Vistas alumna that interned in Hong Kong quite a long time ago. And in 2020, we learned the importance of community building in order to build lasting change within our own communities, starting at home. These exchanges happen between communities and nations. However, in 2020, the pandemic showed us that some communities need help and support from the outside in order to thrive from within and send representatives out into the world. As for the Diné Nation, which is my tribe, located in New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona, it is apparent that there are a lot more issues to address other than accessibility to healthcare, access to electricity and water, and other infrastructural inequalities. With the pandemic hitting my people, it's hit a lot of our cultural knowledge and language that our elders hold within them. This pandemic showed a response to responding to underlying issues while simultaneously addressing COVID-19 within our tribal communities. It is a systemic issue. However, our communities are strong and resilient, and we come together and show support for one another, but this is also why I'm here. I am here to talk about the issues going on within our communities, but also wanting more encouragement and help from the Cultural Vistas community to support Native tribes dealing with COVID. So what can the Cultural Vistas community do? Donate to Yi Ha'Onido, a Navajo Hopi's Families COVID-19 Relief Fund that provides food, water, and kinship kits for Navajo and Hopi families. There are a number of other grassroots organizations and nonprofits, such as the COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund out of the First Nations Development Institute, that are also supporting and helping Native families in the US. The sharing of knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration starts at home. So it's time to unite during these trying times for us all and help our own Hogans, our own homes, in order to build lasting connections, cross nationally into our own communities. And be safe wherever you are. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Malia. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, Max. Very much appreciated. And you've shown many different facets of what Cultural Vistas programming can do. For everyone listening now, be on the lookout for more of Malia's story on our blog and ways you can support this and other very important resource-intensive initiatives. Thank you for letting me share this behind-the-scenes look at one aspect of Cultural Vistas: agility, adaptability, and resilience in 2020. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Jennifer for more on our bright future with Cultural Vistas.
Daniel, thank you. Thank you, Ingrid, Max, and Malia. Wonderful to hear your stories and your continued persistence and belief in the power of these exchange programs. So thank you for being here. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we're very excited to share out our new 3-year strategy that we developed with a lot of input from our stakeholders and a wonderful team of staff, partners, and experts representing a wide range of fields who spent about 3 months working very closely together to develop this plan. I'll share some of the top level themes and let my colleagues go deeper into the 4 areas of focus. But first, I want to reiterate that fundamentally, Cultural Vistas will remain true to its core. Many of our existing programs will continue with enhancements, while new offerings will be brought to market that deliver on our expertise of developing intercultural, experiential learning opportunities that improve the lives of individuals and communities. We did take the opportunity to update our mission statement that represents an intentional pivot from focusing on helping individuals build their careers to also helping them build their communities and a better future for us all. And I think, Ingrid, Max, and Malia are definitely testaments to that intention. So I'm pleased to share our new mission statement. Cultural Vistas equips the next generation of leaders to solve complex challenges by connecting lives to exchange knowledge, values, and perspectives. And our vision over the next 3 years will be to bridge divides between and within nations, to increase inclusivity in international education and exchange, to foster an innovative and resilient learning culture within our community, and curate programs with demonstrable impact. So I want to invite 4 of my colleagues who helped shape this plan, share a little bit more about what each of these goals means. Each will introduce themselves, but I'll start with Sharon Shea-Haver from our board of directors who served on our strategy committee. Thank you all.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Cultural Vistas. My name is Sharon Shea-Haver, and I'm a member of the board of directors of Cultural Vistas. International exchange has always been our platform and method of choice to fulfill our mission. And with this mission, we've been in operations for more than 60 years, or nearly 60 years, and we have supported over 150,000 people in this mission. This inspired me when I joined Cultural Vistas board in 2018. I thought of my own experience of immigrating to the United States at age 12. If you thought middle school was tough, you should try switching languages and cultures in the middle of it. But arguably, the real culture shock for me was when I moved from a small private middle school to a very large public high school 2 years later. And within this microcosm of Orange County, California, I saw an almost complete self-segregation of cultures, with Asian kids sitting in one corner, Latino students in another, and white students yet in another area during lunch and during recess. This was the first inkling for me that putting different people together in one room isn't enough. Diversity is only ever the first step. So to create this true, what we call melting pot, where everyone, regardless of their place of origin, beliefs, skin color, feels valued and puts their best and authentic voice forward, is how you create a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. This is the only way that our next generation of leaders will be ready to solve the complex challenges our world is faced with. We have witnessed so many cases of deep conflict and misunderstandings where this has not happened, where people lead with lack of self-awareness, where they make assumptions about another group of people born out of fear and ignorance. And we have all seen the tragic consequences of that not just across borders, but within borders. So this strategic pillar that Cultural Vista seeks to bridge divides across borders, but also within borders, is really timely. And a thoughtfully designed, deliberately executed educational programming can really help address this fear, this lack of awareness. They can help people become aware of what they're missing out on when they limit themselves to meaningful relationships only with those who look like us and speak like us. Our educational programming is not only for people who seek to connect with those across borders, but also within it. So Cultural Vistas is not only committed to, Cultural Vistas is not only committed to delivering these programs, we're committed to co-creating these opportunities with alumni and leaders that represent these communities that we serve. And I want to hand it off now to Mariana Martinez, our own alumna, who will speak more about our next strategic pillar. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Mariana Martinez. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the Director of Civic Engagement Initiatives at Michigan Nonprofit Association. And I was actually part of the Welcoming Communities Transatlantic Exchange Program back in 2017 and joined the Cultural Vistas Alumni Council in 2019. So I'm here to tell you about the second pillar, which is essentially addressing global challenges in an inclusive way. And what does this pillar represent really for us? Given the widespread recognition that inequity is crippling societies and nations, it is ever more important for international exchange programs to be inclusive and provide greater access for communities that have been historically left behind. Cultural Vistas serves as an important catalyst to co-create opportunities with these communities that are responsive to their needs and interests. Our alumni hold positions of influence and are able to effectively create meaningful change, incorporating unique voices, perspectives, and expertise. As an organization, we are committed to ensuring that we are visibly and holistically advancing equity and inclusion. So what does this look like? This can look like designing inclusive programs that reflect global issues and global perspectives rather than coming from a US perspective only view. This also looks like reaching out and partnering with organizations that serve historically underrepresented communities to ensure that programs we design are inclusive and address issues that cut across communities all over the world. And overall, I personally envision a diverse and inclusive alumni that will continue to strengthen the beautiful, diverse world that we live in. So with that, I'd like to pass the virtual mic to Reginald Charlot. Reginald?
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you very much. And actually, I'm coming from outside of the Cultural Vista world, the exchange world. I am actually a managing director for tourism development at NYC & Company. The NYC & Company is the destination marketing organization and convention and visitors bureau for the 5 boroughs of New York City. So as you can imagine, with this pandemic taking place, hitting us hard, globally, the tourism industry has been hit hard as well. So what has happened, unfortunately, is that due to restrictions, people aren't able to travel and move around. There are concerns of spreading the viruses, the various variants that are coming across the world. So therefore, for the tourism industry, that has led to different organizations and institutions closing temporarily or permanently. However, there is optimism on the tourism side. People are really desiring and have pent-up demand for travel once things get better. Now, what things get better is your interpretation of it, of course, but of course, with the lead-in with the vaccines coming in, as well as hospitalizations going down, people are feeling much more comfortable in regards to investigating and looking at what they can do when it comes to travel. Now, just to touch upon the fact of how I, from outside of the Cultural Vista exchange world, came into this wonderful opportunity, is that I had the chance to speak to Jennifer Clinton through a mutual friend of ours this past summer, and she introduced me to Cultural Vistas, and she took me through the direction that she would like to take the organization, and I shared with her a bit of my background and experiences. And we spoke for about 2 hours, and at the end of the conversation, she invited me to join the stakeholder strategy group, and I quickly said yes. So the pillar that I'm going to be talking about briefly is the strategic plan of building a learning culture that fosters resilience, adaptability, and innovation. Now, as we all know, as I said earlier, the pandemic has disrupted our lives for almost a year now. And now is the time that Cultural Vistas is going to look to reimagine itself and build on its strengths while becoming more innovative and adapt to meet current needs and be resilient to future challenges. Now, what that means, I'm going to give an example in regards to my industry and try to relate it to Cultural Vistas. Now, historically, in regards to people coming to New York City, what they've always done, and what we've done, I should say, is that as an organization, we've always pushed the low-hanging fruit, the easy, get people to come visit Times Square over and over again, and we know that visitors are going to come visit New York City. You know, to come visit the MoMAs, the Empire State Buildings, the Statue of Liberty, Midtown, Times Square. Now, with everything that's happened, of course, people are rethinking how they're going to be visiting New York City in the future. Also, in addition to that, is the influence of the social changes taking place across the world. So now what we're doing is we're getting people to think beyond Times Square, getting people to promote and talk about Crown Heights, for example, a neighborhood in Brooklyn, or to think about Mott Haven in the Bronx, or to think about Flushing in Queens. But not only doing that, but also incorporating and including voices such as Black voices, Hispanic voices, or Latino voices, as well as Asian voices, to really amplify the need and desire for people to go and visit those areas. So as it relates to Cultural Vistas, it's an opportunity for Cultural Vistas to really look at, as Mariana had mentioned before, you know, underrepresented populations, to learn and listen to those individuals, people from historically Black universities and colleges, to expand upon that, to kind of look at what they can offer in regards to engagement, and also just getting information from what Cultural Vistas can promote in regards to exchanges. Another way to look at it in regards to being resilient and being innovative is to look at how you can expand your exchange programs by looking at, not only looking at students for exchange programs, but also looking at professionals, people who are mid-career professionals in regards to engaging in a different country, and also domestically within a different state, to be able to build upon those experiences and bring that back to not only Cultural Vistas, but also to their organization, which leads to a greater flexibility for the organization to say, we not only work with students, but we also work with professionals to be able to build and develop our programs. And finally, there's the opportunity to be able to build a talent directory, if you will. So that talent directory could look at how one professional who went on an exchange in a particular state or country was able to work with someone else, or be able to recommend or advise a student looking to go to that particular organization or that particular industry, to be able to have that kind of exchange. So these are some examples of what or how Cultural Vistas could make innovation and adapt itself for the future, because we need to be very, very nimble about how to do things, especially as time has changed and this pandemic has presented itself in a way that can give Cultural Vistas a leg up over other organizations. And now with that, I'd like to pass on the mic to Dan. Dan?
Thank you, Reggie. Hello, my name is Dan Eward. I'm the Senior Vice President for Program Development at Cultural Vistas, and I've been with the organization for many years. I'm something of an outlier at Cultural Vistas, as I have never participated in an international exchange experience. Before coming to the organization, I spent 6 years immersed in the somewhat formative years of experiential learning back in the 1980s. I was attracted to our organization by its history of understanding that cultural exchange was just as transformative when conducted in the workplace and not just in the classroom. So I'm pleased now to be introducing the fourth pillar of the organizational strategic plan, impact. Please don't misunderstand, the organization has been measuring impact literally for generations. We started a longitudinal study of all of our participants 7 years ago, and the monitoring evaluation of our programs is more than in line with the State Department guidelines and the guidelines of other governments and foundations which provide support for our programs. What this strategic plan will focus on is a more intentional impact measurement. In 2019, Cultural Vistas organized a boot camp on the theory of change and measuring impact in Manila, which included intense 4-hour sprints in both topics. And I was so impressed how these young people who could not get enough of the information that was going on and being discussed about these topics. Even as an implementer, I left these sessions starving for more discussion. The global pandemic helped me to get my wish. Over the past year, we have recognized the need to broaden our consideration of new experiential learning models, and most important, how to measure their impact. There's obviously much discussion both in academia and industry about the effectiveness of virtual training and learning, and Cultural Vistas seeks to use its array of exchanges to be a part of these conversations. Cultural Vistas is now engaged in developing a deep understanding of its theory of change in the context of experiential learning models. And from this, we will be developing models for measuring impact of a wide range of programming we currently offer, and which will help inform us of models of programs and services we need to build and offer in the future. We've been conducting blended programming for more than a decade. My gut tells me this type of programming will need to become more robust, and we will need to have to be able to demonstrate the impact of these programs to our various stakeholders. Stay tuned for more details. Thank you, and thank you for your interest in our work.
Thank you all, Dan, Reggie, Mariana, and Sharon. I know you've spent so much time working so hard on this plan, and we're really grateful for you all. I consider you all a gift that keeps giving, so thank you. So it's clear that we have an ambitious agenda ahead of us and have just begun the implementation phase. And we also don't have all the answers, but we do have the desire and commitment to find them with your help. So in the spirit of sort of asking for your help and inviting you to join in with us in figuring out those answers, I'd like to ask some of our staff members to identify some of the ways that you can help make our vision a reality. And I'll turn it over to Andrew Mccullough.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Andrew Mccullough, the Assistant Director of Program Development with Cultural Vistas. In my time with the organization, I've had the opportunity to develop and manage a number of our programs for college students and recent graduates. In the last year, this has often meant reimagining those programs in a way that meets the needs of the current moment, and in particular meets the needs of our participants and our partners. As Jennifer, Daniel, and Dan have all discussed, this is a really powerful moment when we can take everything we've learned from the most challenging of years and use that perspective to come up with creative, agile, and innovative programs that really engage a new generation of participants. And just as importantly for us, engage a diverse generation of participants and partners in the life-changing opportunities that international exchange can offer. We would like to invite all of those present to become our partners in exchange. If you're a college research department or a company interested in hosting a virtual internship, or a company or institution interested in finding new ways to develop and fund new initiatives or program ideas, or perhaps you're an organization interested in working with Cultural Vistas to facilitate global competency and intercultural competence, diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Whatever your interest, please connect with us to hear more about how you can partner with us. Also, if you're in our host company network, please join us and your fellow company partners on March 11th for a virtual internship forum to highlight programs that have successfully gone virtual, and will continue to use these principles in their internship programs now and into the future. We'll provide more details in our post-program follow-up on how to register for this. Cultural Vistas is really excited to be at the beginning of a new chapter in international exchange, and we really look forward to you joining us in that mission. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Salisbury, and I'm the Director of Communications with Cultural Vistas. And I wanted to take a bit of time today to let you know how you can be involved in helping us tell our story. So I had the pleasure of joining the team here at Cultural Vistas back in August in the middle of the pandemic. And I have to say, every single day that I've come to work virtually has been really uplifting because of the wonderful impact that our programs and our network and our participants are making across the world. At a time when the news cycle is so negative, it's so inspiring to be part of this organization that is bringing such good to the world. And I'm really proud to be part of this team. Now that we are a leaner organization, we need your help more than ever in telling our story. We're a small team, and we unfortunately can't have our pulse on all the stories that you're doing in the world as good as we want to. So please come to us and tell us your stories. Tell us how you're making an impact in the world. Tell us how your experiences overseas shaped what you're doing now. We want to hear those stories, and we want to help provide you with a platform to tell them. So some of the ways we do this are through our own Cultural Vistas communications channels. So hopefully you've all had a chance to visit our blog, where we share a few posts per week on a variety of different stories of the ways that people in our network are making an impact. And we're also very active on social media. Apart from that, as we move forward with our new strategic plan, we want to be even more active in positioning ourselves as thought leaders in the world. So if there are projects you've been working on or achievements that you have, and you'd like our help in getting that story told to a broader audience, again, please reach out to us, and we can partner with you to make that happen. So if you have one takeaway from my little speech today, it's please be vocal. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us what impact you're making, and we're here to help tell your story.
Thank you, Lauren. And Lauren, as she mentioned, joined our organization this past year. What a tremendous time to start a new job. And I'm sure some of you can also appreciate that unique challenge. We're really fortunate to have such great leadership across the organization right now, from our board of directors as well, and from our alumni council, which we are expanding in 2021. And we're very excited about that expansion and the projects that we can achieve together as we embark on this new strategic path. 2021 shows signs of hope for a return to in-person programming. And as we navigate this return as a global community, Cultural Vistas will continue to hold our signature events virtually. Last year, a group of IVLP alumni produced a poem virtually that inspired us all to remember that everyone coughs and everyone laughs, and that it is ultimately up to all of us to keep each other safe. Their words and their collaboration inspired me many times throughout the year when it was, challenging moments. And they joined us, a group of them, during our virtual benefit program last year, and shared in how they collaborated and the bonds that they shared, which we can all relate to. We also brought together alumni mentors from across the world who came to support and talk to participants of programs that had been canceled, postponed, or disrupted by the pandemic. And we hosted our very first virtual benefit, where this community really came together to celebrate the hard work of our alumni and our partners in exchange. It was so amazing to bring together alumni awardees from Fiji, doing work with the deaf community, to the Philippines, working with farmers and food insecurity, to the United States, working on climate migration, and our corporate partners being champions for tech for good. One highlight was our keynote speaker, Fareed Zakaria, whose insights into a post-pandemic world personally gave me a lot of hope at the end of last year. And I'm really excited to announce that this year, our virtual benefit will also be a creative celebration of our global community, featuring a keynote address, fireside chat, our annual awards, a cultural performance, and new this year, a live auction, which we're excited about to bring together some new elements. We're going to get creative. We're going to knock your socks off, I promise. If you have an idea in the chat of something that you would love to see in our auction, please feel free to give us ideas. But we will be assembling a host committee from across our community to help us put together a really fantastic event. And we hope to see you then, as well as throughout the year. So ticket and sponsorship opportunities will launch in May, and stay tuned. But for now, I'll pass it back over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Lauren and Andrew. So now we're gonna just open it up for questions. If anybody has something you're curious about, want to hear about, a couple questions came through that I'll address. One being, what are the main different sources supporting the organization? I'm assuming you're talking about financial resources, and they sit in 4 categories. Our revenue comes from fee-for-services, so primarily our large J1 internship program that brings typically about 5,000 participants to the United States to take part in an internship, and either a participant or a host company pays those fees. We also have a large group of federal grants that we work on from the US government and foreign governments as well. In addition, we another source of income is our corporate foundation grants and then individual contributions. So as was mentioned by Jeff before, we do have a pretty diversified revenue source that is really helping us at this time. Another question was, thanks for the much needed town hall. Does CV have a platform where we can explore other alumni, where other alumni live and work? That's something that we are working on. We have gotten more sophisticated in our alumni tracking, still have a little bit of work to do, but that's something that through our alumni council we'll be working to identify how we can make those connections easier using technology between alumni. When will applications for the next round of virtual internships in Germany be available? We're not sure yet. That program was funded by the German Foreign Ministry and are hopeful that they will renew funding for that, but we will see and definitely advertise on our website when we know more. Another question, in regards to alumni engagement, have you appointed regional coordinators or subject matter experts, and how do we connect with them? Great question. We're also in the process of discussing that within our alumni council. We'll be adding 5 new members to that group, which is a really terrific group of alums from all different programs from all over the world that will be really honing in on how we can add more value to our alumni community. Another question. How is the implementation for in-person events this year looking like? In-person programming. So not sure yet. We're planning just logistically for in-person programming to begin late summer, early fall. It's a bit of a guess, but what we're hearing from our partners and just getting a sense of vaccine rollouts and opening up of borders, that's kind of what we're planning on and are hopeful, trying to be conservative, but also hopeful that we can get back to in-person. Another question, as everyone looks to post-pandemic recovery, many are looking to community colleges and their workforce development programs. Are there plans for CV to reach out to community college students and graduates to provide them with opportunities? Absolutely, that's one area where we have been working and have a really good track record through the Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Program with community colleges, many of whom host our German participants, and we recruit from community colleges for that program. But we recognize that it's a huge opportunity for us to serve more participants. And I think what we've learned in the virtual space is that we can create more on-ramps for people that make it easier to get involved and engage. So if you're part of the community college network, would love to brainstorm with you a little bit more on how we might co-create opportunities together. Do you anticipate interns will need to be vaccinated in order to travel? Gosh, I wish I could answer that question. I don't know yet. I'm sure Reggie actually, Reggie, if you have any thoughts on that topic, because I'm sure you're tracking that really, really closely, if you want to share anything out. Have you made any changes on your partnership model with private for-profit companies? Not anything systemically, although we are working with and talking with a number of our private sector companies around kind of more services that we can provide to our partner host companies in terms of mobility and helping them with a larger suite of resources as they are moving employees, interns between borders. Other questions? Are there part-time virtual internship opportunities or other cultural exchange opportunities available to candidates who are currently working full-time but still wish to get involved? I love that question because that's something that we've been talking a lot about, recognizing that people that did a broad experience 5, 10, 15 years ago, they don't really have those opportunities. And that's something that we'll be exploring through our Alumni Council. And that's been brought up a couple times in our strategy work, that's an audience that, may be looking for more opportunities like this. And we have a couple of different program models that we've sketched out in this realm. So would love your input. And as we develop program concepts, we're going to be very mindful of bringing them out to our community to just get feedback and to align with kind of what the needs and expectations of you all and the sort of the users of these new program models. Anything else? Lots of great questions, you all. Really appreciate it and appreciate your engagement. I want to just invite you all, as you think about things, or if, hopefully you are all part of our newsletter where we'll be sharing out developments on our plan. Please reach out. Reach out to me directly. My email is jclinton@culturalvistas.org. I've got a tremendous team, staff that we're all working really hard and just trying to be very in tune with the needs, the desires of our community to kind of think about what's possible. So we're in a very creative mindset right now in space. So, we can't do everything. So we do have to be mindful of, as Jeff noted before, we're a smaller, leaner organization. So really trying to hone in on those opportunities that are going to, have the greatest impact for the greatest number of people. So I just want to thank all of you and in particular, thank our tremendous staff who's been working so hard, as well as our board of directors and just, managing the difficulty, but also envisioning what's possible and really trying to find those silver linings. So I want to thank you for placing your trust in us as a partner and a supporter and a friend. We don't exist without you, and we'll continue to invite you to help us advance our goals. And there are many, many ways, as you heard today, and you'll be hearing over the coming months of how you can support our work. And as I said, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or my colleagues. Everybody's name is on our website that you can check out. If you want a actual written copy of our strategy document, it's on our homepage at our website. And just to close, I'd love to share a few highlights from some of our activities from last year to remind you of the incredible strength of this community that has outposts all over the world and who are doing amazing things to make our future and our world a better place. Thanks for joining. And if you want to just hang for about a minute to watch our video, wishing you all the best and look forward to being in touch this year. What is the meaning of international exchange? We often think about it as a one-time episodic event, but as you all remind us, it's really a process. It's a relationship that can and should endure over time.
We believe in justice. We believe it's a calling. We believe it's our calling. We believe that communities that are on the margin have the right to live in a fair and just world.
We laugh, we cry, we hope, we fear. We are bold, we are courageous, we reach, we stand. We do this wherever we are because we are human beings and it is rooted in our humanity.
What Cultural Vistas is doing is to remind people that there is a world out there, that it is rich and diverse, that it requires enormous amount of energy and attention, and know that at the end of the day, you are not just on the side of the good people, but ultimately you will prevail. Thank you very much.
It's hard to compete with Fareed Zakaria, but thank you all. And I'm wishing you a great day. Take care and be in touch.